What is going on, world? What's up, YouTube? It's Zero here. Today I'm bringing you guys a brand new episode of The 8 Below Show. Welcome everyone to 8 Below. Thanks for being here, guys, to the best entertainment-related show here on YouTube. And I'm super excited about our episode here today. We have a lot of stuff to talk about, so let's get into it. Xbox is taking a serious approach here, guys, to really taking over the exclusive types of games that come out, because there's a lot of them that they are announcing, and I'm sure PlayStation's going to have more and more exclusive games that are going to be coming out, but Xbox seems to be taking that significant approach where they want to have a lot more exclusives than any other platform, and one of those being the Ascent, guys. This is a game that got some information about, and I definitely was very intrigued by not only, everything that they were kind of doing around this game, but just kind of the story and the things of that nature really make this game seem somewhat unique. So I thought in this first segment of the show, let's talk about it, and let's talk about everything that we know so far about the Ascent. So let's get into it. In an article that was written by Samuel Tolbert of Windows Central, fight to protect your newfound freedom from corporate savages or scavengers. One of the many games revealed during the May 7th Inside Xbox showcase for Xbox Series X was The Ascent, an isometric RPG from Neon Giant and Curve Digital. Neon Giant is a small team composed of 11 developers who worked on games like Wolfenstein and Gears of War. Even with the small team, this game is making a big impression. So what is this game, guys? Well, developed by Neon Giant and published by Curve Digital, The Ascent is set on the world of Valles, where corporations own various districts. Playing as an indentured worker, you go about your daily tasks until a mega corporation known as the Ascent Group collapses. This opens a power vacuum as criminals and other corporations try to seize control. So right off the bat, guys, very interesting premise. Not too much in depth, which I think is a good thing, that it wasn't like, extremely in depth, because a lot of times you don't want them to give away the entire story, and then, there's nothing when you start playing the game. It's like you already know what's going to happen. So I think it's good that they kept it vague. Now, as far as the trailers go, guys, there is a reveal trailer that you can check out. And then as far as the gameplay is concerned, the Ascent is an isometric RPG with a viewpoint similar to the Diablo games. So here's what we know, guys, about the gameplay. So the Ascent can be played in single player or up to 4-player co-op. You can use augmentations to alter your character and playstyle. For example, you can deck your character with weapons or slim them down for a stealth-based playstyle. So the last thing is the world is designed to be roam freely with an emphasis on verticality. So I think a couple of things that were really intriguing to me when we started hearing some information about the Ascent, guys. Number one is the bad news, in my opinion, is that it's going to be single player and up to 4-player co-op. I like the idea that there's a single player story and then you can play up to 4-player co-op. I don't like that there's no multiplayer here, but this is the very first game in what may very well become a franchise, so maybe down the road they'll plan on adding multiplayer, but that's kind of one negative thing that I kind of saw with all this. But as far as, the way that the game and the viewpoint is, it does feel and look a lot like Diablo, and so that's definitely not a bad thing. I like that this is going to have its own flavor, at least it seems, guys. Now, the other thing I really like, though, is that, it sounds like there's a lot of customization such with your characters and with weapons and such, and so I think that seems really awesome as well. I can't wait to kind of dive more into that as well. Now, as far as the world being designed to be roam freely, I love that. I think that that's really great, so it's kind of like an semi or open world-esque to this style game, and I think that's going to be really great as well for just, exploration. You kind of are able to take your time beating the game, whatever it might be, really take in everything, because it seems like after that single player or that 4-player co-op of playing the game, most likely there's not going to be much else to do unless they add things along the way. Now, is the Ascent a multiplayer game? The Ascent doesn't contain any player versus player multiplayer modes. However, the story can be played in up to 4-player co-op. And as I said, guys, that was like one of the big negative things to me, is this looks like a game that could be, have some pretty cool multiplayer modes, but they decided not to do that. Maybe it's something they'll add later on, but they didn't really mention that either. So that's kind of a bummer. The other part that's kind of a bummer for those of you who are PlayStation users is the Ascent coming to PS5. No, at least for now, the Ascent is console exclusive to Xbox platforms. So as I said before, guys, Xbox has taken a serious approach to trying to really own the exclusive games, or having more exclusive games than any other platform. You can definitely see that with the number of other games coming out like Scorn and many other games. I mean, the Ascent is one of them. And so what I'm getting at here is they want to have a lot of exclusives that are going to go directly to like Xbox Game Pass, or are going to be exclusive just to Xbox, to give more and more reasons for people to come over to Xbox. Now, here's the only thing about that, guys. I've been an Xbox user. I also own the PlayStation 4. I also own the Nintendo Switch. So being someone who owns all of them, I grew up with Xbox. So I of course love the Xbox, but I like the other consoles as well. Here's the thing that it does, though. The exclusives, the thing about it that I don't like is that it really gets you to, you want to play all these games, especially if they're interesting and intriguing, like a game like the Ascent. It seems like a pretty intriguing title. It's not necessarily going to be that, deciphering decision on whether you're going to buy, an Xbox or not. But still, you're going to start thinking about it. And with more and more games that are coming out, it's like, well, why not just get an Xbox at the end of the day? But what that does is then PlayStation wants to do a lot of exclusives, and Nintendo wants to do a lot of exclusives. And so what ends up happening is, guys, is you've got 3 different consoles that just own a bunch of exclusive games, which I'm not saying is technically a bad thing, but it's something that we definitely need to discuss, because, obviously you want to have reasons to buy the PlayStation or reasons to buy the Xbox. If you can just buy basically the exact same games on any of the consoles, it's kind of like, well, what really is the deciphering factor? It's kind of like whatever you really feel like. But with exclusives, it gives you more of that reason to buy that particular, that particular console. And so I think the console wars, guys, are just starting to get heated up in a major way going to the next generation of consoles. Xbox has taken a serious approach with exclusives. PlayStation has already done that in the past with exclusives. Some of their big, blockbuster games, so to speak, that are exclusive to PlayStation, and they're continuing that. But Xbox already had their exclusives, and they've had exclusives for a while, but now they're really elaborating on that. And I think PlayStation will probably end up doing somewhat the same. So then it's more, probably in years to come, guys, we're going to be able to really kind of make a really good, decision on which, console you want, because it's like, okay, all of these games I really like are on Xbox, and then there's all these games that we like on PlayStation, all these games we like on the Switch. And if you have to, really watch your spending dollars, you're going to pick and choose which one you want. But some of us are just going to buy all of them over time, which is probably what I'm going to do anyways, guys. But as far as the release date goes, getting back to the Ascent, guys, while we don't have an exact release date right now, the Ascent is scheduled to be available at some point later in 2020 for Xbox Series X, Xbox One, and PC. The Ascent is Xbox Series X optimized, running at 4K 60 frames per second. It also supports smart delivery, meaning if you buy the game on Xbox One, you'll get the Series X upgrades at no additional cost, which is really cool. And I love that it's going to be also available on Xbox One as well as Xbox Series X. One of my biggest fears was, guys, going into this next generation of console, I don't know if some of you remember this, but back when the Xbox One, the PlayStation 4 were coming out, right? A lot of the games, guys, that were released. So for me, at least, I buy Call of Duty every year. So I'll just give you an example as to that. The Xbox 360, if you had the 360 and you didn't have the Xbox One, the Call of Duty games that came out every year, they would come out on Xbox One, but they also would come out on the Xbox 360 for a number of years until finally everything, slowly but surely transferred over to the Xbox One. And so what I'm getting at here is that you might not necessarily, with a lot of these games, need to buy the new consoles right away, because a lot of these games will probably be on the Xbox One or the PlayStation 4 for a while until things slowly transfer over to the next gen consoles. Just something to think about. But overall, guys, what I will say is this looks like an intriguing title. When I saw that reveal trailer, I'm interested to see more, right? I really am. Like, the graphics look really great. Looks like a, very unique type of story, kind of Diablo-esque in certain ways, especially from, like, the play style. And we'll just have to kind of wait and see, right, how that goes. And, I'll certainly give you guys more information as more information comes out up until the Ascent release date. But with that, guys, I want to pass it on to all of you. What are you guys most excited about with the Ascent? Let me know in the comment section below. And for more The Ascent content and videos, stay here with Zero TV. There's been a lot of speculation and a lot of rumblings, guys, that Mass Effect 4 is going to be coming out at some time or another in the foreseeable future. And guys, we've been talking on the YouTube channel about Mass Effect 4 and the possibility of where they could, maybe go with this story. Are they going to continue Andromeda and actually make Andromeda 2? Are they going to make something that was a direct continuation of the original trilogy, or something completely new altogether? And so, guys, what I wanted to go through in this segment of the show, because you guys can check out all of the Mass Effect content, guys, and Mass Effect 4 content on the YouTube channel here, but I want to talk about everything we know so far about Mass Effect 4, as well as some crazy rumors. So let's get into it. In an article, guys, that was written by Jared Weich of The Gamer, EA and BioWare need to hit it out of the park with Mass Effect 4. And here are 5 things we know about the game, as well as 5 crazy theories. Though BioWare has been on a bit of a freefall in recent years, fans are still highly anticipating the next entry in the Mass Effect franchise. Those who opt to play Mass Effect Andromeda in 2020 will be met with a game that's simply good in its worst moments after a series of updates since its released. And what I will say, guys, for me personally, I have said in the past that I like Andromeda. Like, I think underneath all of the negativity around the game, there's actually a pretty special game there. They just, obviously, it didn't connect well with everyone, and I think that there were definitely areas that they could have improved upon or made better at launch. But all in all, I thought it was a valiant effort that just didn't work out. So now, that's why I've said in the past, I don't think it's going to be Andromeda 2 that comes next. I think it'll be Mass Effect 4. Now, fans were left wondering where the franchise would go with its next entry, and if BioWare still has the magic left in them to release another all-time great. So, at number 10, guys, a rumor is that there's going to be a reboot. Where does Mass Effect go from here? That's the question fans and critics have been asking themselves ever since the release of Mass Effect Andromeda. With a sequel to that game already out of the question, it's tough to try and understand when and where the next title will take place. I don't think that a sequel to Andromeda is out of the question. I don't think it's likely, at least right now. Now, as far as where the story could go, guys, it's hard to say now. Would they do a reboot? There's a real good chance that they very well could do a reboot, and I don't think that the community would mind whatsoever if there was a soft reboot to this franchise. Now, we know, at number 9, we know that Dragon Age 4 is first. The reality of the matter is that fans won't be seeing Mass Effect 4 until Dragon Age 4, which is actively in development. On the plus side, most Mass Effect fans are BioWare fans, which means they're likely excited for Dragon Age 4 as well. You can't always paint with a broad brush, though, considering the fact that there are plenty of people who enjoy science fiction who don't also enjoy high fantasy settings. So what I'll say about Dragon Age 4, guys, is that we've talked about Dragon Age 4 a number of times on the YouTube channel as well. You guys can check out that content. But what I'll say about that is that Dragon Age 4 was in active development, and then apparently BioWare pulled a bunch of the people off of Dragon Age 4 to work on Mass Effect Andromeda as well as Anthem. And so what I'm getting at is that Dragon Age has gone through some, I'm not going to say a development hell, but it kind of seems like it's borderline to that, where there's been issues there with getting this game made. And so you got to wonder, sure, Dragon Age 4 is most likely the next game that's going to be coming out, but who knows when that's going to happen. And I wouldn't be surprised if BioWare is working on Dragon Age 4 as well as Mass Effect 4 at the exact same time. Now, one of the rumors, guys, at number 8 is non-human options. For a franchise focused on showcasing a larger universe outside the realm of the human experience, Mass Effect has put a huge focus on humans. Fans have wondered when the day will come where the protagonist isn't human, or if they could ever get customization options where the race of your character is up to you. So, obviously, non-human options, I wouldn't mind something like that, especially from a multiplayer perspective. If they have multiplayer in Mass Effect 4, I think having, different races as far as your character is concerned, you should be able to have those options, in my opinion, especially, human or non-human. But we'll have to kind of wait and see because that is a rumor. Now, what we do know is that Casey Hudson's back. Casey Hudson was a part of the original team at BioWare who brought the Mass Effect franchise to life. Afterward, he left to pursue other ventures, but in recent years, he rejoined the team at BioWare in an effort to return the studio back to the place among the greats they built themselves to be in. Hudson lived through the Mass Effect 3 ending fiasco and understands what that audience wants. His inclusion doesn't guarantee anything, but it does build some confidence in regard to the direction of the next title in the series. So one thing that we can take from Casey Hudson being back, guys, is that, he left, of course, but now he came back, and there's got to be a reason for him coming back. I would say that, he's probably back because he wants to, move Mass Effect in the right direction, most likely, or whether he's working on other projects, most likely he's working on Mass Effect 4 at this point to kind of bring that back. And there's probably other reasons, like maybe he really liked the direction from like the script or something, that he thought that this looks like it's going to be good, so I want to come back and help out with making Mass Effect, bringing it back to its, original glory. And number 6, guys, a rumor is a different perspective. The idea of how BioWare will return to the Mass Effect franchise is one that has been puzzling fans, with the original trilogy having a pretty strong and definitive ending. Where does the series go? As will be talked about later, we already know it won't be a sequel to Andromeda. Now, a neat idea for BioWare is if they retell the events of the original trilogy from a different perspective. Personally, guys, I would not like that. I think this universe is huge. I wouldn't mind a different perspective, but at the end of the day, I really would like them to be kind of like with the Andromeda, another galaxy, another area. This universe is huge, guys. I think that the trilogy should be left alone, or they do, they kind of explain what happened or whatever the case might be, but I really think that it should be, for the most part, left alone. A soft reboot should be maybe happen, or somewhere completely different. Now, one thing that we do know is BioWare's on thin ice. It's one thing to release a title that doesn't quite hit the mark and puts a developer on their back heels, but when that happens twice in a row for a publisher known to snap studios out of existence when they're no longer super profitable, it's an even more dire situation. On the heels of Anthem and Andromeda, BioWare is looking to rebound in a big way with Dragon Age 4. EA are hoping the game sells well. BioWare is hoping it meets the high-quality benchmark they established for themselves. So, guys, yes, BioWare is absolutely in a dire position. I mean, these guys have done a great job up to this point. They've had a couple of missteps with, Anthem and Andromeda. Both games, I thought, underneath all of the, backlash and bad reception and such, I thought were actually pretty good games. Underneath it all, right? I mean, obviously on the surface, it looks really bad with, whatever it is, whether you're talking microtransactions, whether you're talking about story, you're talking about gameplay and mechanics, whatever it might be, guys, I still feel that both those games had something there. It's just unfortunate we never saw the real, what could have been with those two titles. Now, a rumor is his First Contact War. Mass Effect captivated so many people, not only because of Shepard's story, but because of the lore and work building the games provided that fleshed out numerous alien races, events, and philosophies. The event fans have been clamoring for in video game form ever since the first game in the series releases the First Contact War. Now, guys, I'm not, super familiar with, all of the lore and such with Mass Effect. I love the Mass Effect franchise, but, as far as all of the lore and such, would the First Contact War be, something that would be something interesting to kind of experience and go down? I would be totally down. I remember it from the first game, and I'm hoping that we do see that actually, maybe happen at some point or another, or we get kind of a flashback or something of that nature that we can totally just see what that First Contact War was all about. One thing we know is that it won't be Andromeda 2, even though I already said that I don't know. I have my doubts about that. I don't think Andromeda 2 is the next game, guys, in the franchise. but I don't think that it's definitely not happening. It's already been made clear by BioWare leads that the next entry in the series won't be a follow-up to the heavily scrutinized dud that was Andromeda. As previously mentioned in this article, a software reboot certainly is in play, while the idea of reliving the events of the original trilogy from a different perspective is also an avenue to go down. So, BioWare has stated that the next entry isn't going to be Andromeda. But guys, I don't know, like, sometimes you got to take these things with a pinch of salt. I'm not saying that BioWare's definitely, going to do an Andromeda 2. Don't get me wrong. I would say it's more likely, we said this in the past, it's more likely we're going to get a Mass Effect 4 than an Andromeda 2. But, you can never say never. You can never say never. Look, I remember when the Call of Duty community was absolutely, hellacious about, telling the developers that we don't want another, jetpack game. And they made 3 of them in a row. They made Advanced Warfare, Black Ops 3, and Infinite Warfare. And guys, they had stated, that being like Activision stated that, look, we're changing the formula and such, and so people are getting all excited, and then all of a sudden they throw, in jetpacks once again. Everyone wanted that boots on the ground feel, and they continue moving that direction. I'm not saying that the same is going to happen here with BioWare, but what I'm getting at is you can never say never. Most likely we're getting Mass Effect 4, but would you really say no to an Andromeda 2, maybe after Mass Effect 4? Would you never want to see another Andromeda? Maybe they make that sequel a lot better, or they're able to like flesh it out in a major way. Who knows? I wouldn't mind seeing it. Obviously, I would like Mass Effect 4 first, and then maybe they can come back and do Andromeda, but most likely they're not going that way. I just want to tell you guys that just never say never. A rumor is that it's a next-gen game. With Dragon Age 4 currently in development under BioWare, it's safe to assume that, at the very least, the title will be a cross-generation platform or title. With Mass Effect 4 set to be the next project after that, gamers will be years into the life cycles of the Xbox Series X and PlayStation 5. A lot of added benefits will present themselves to BioWare as they work on making games for the next-gen hardware. So that's another thing that could really look special, guys. That could really be special for Mass Effect 4 is that, the graphics could be absolutely incredible. And I would love to see really, amazing graphics. We know that BioWare can do this. I'm sure they'll probably be able to do it here on the next-gen consoles with Mass Effect 4. And it could be, like, the best-looking, Mass Effect game that we've ever had. Now, number one, guys, we know it's in development. The video game industry is super secretive. And unlike the film industry, fans rarely hear about games that are in early stages of development. As a result of the poor reception of both Andromeda and Anthem, BioWare was put in a place where they almost needed to tell their audience that Dragon Age 4 and Mass Effect 4 were in development, with the former taking priority as it will release first. Fans at one point were worried that the Mass Effect franchise was killed by Andromeda's poor performance, so it's good to know that that is not the case. So, look, we do know it's in development, guys, which is awesome. And we believe it to be Mass Effect 4. We also believe that Dragon Age 4 is going to release before that, even though, I'm not saying that's not going to happen. I think that Dragon Age 4 was definitely in active development before those people were pulled off for Andromeda as well as Anthem. And so now, guys, BioWare, I just really think at the end of the day, they got to take their time. Take your time. Make the game, the way you guys need to really bring this franchise back. Whether we're talking about Dragon Age 4 or Mass Effect 4, just take your time. And we'll be ready to play when the game is ready, and we'll be excited about it. Look, guys, there's so many games out there. We look at even 2020, how we had to wait for, The Last of Us Part 2, how we are having to wait for Cyberpunk 2077. These games keep getting pushed back and delayed and such. And it's a good thing because we want the game when it's ready. Sure, we're going to want it as soon as possible, but we don't want something that isn't going to be fully ready, and then there's going to be more criticism. And yes, if these games don't do well for BioWare, it could spell ruin for not one franchise, but 2 franchises and potentially a developer. But that being said, guys, this is everything that we know so far about Mass Effect 4. Let me know, guys, in the comment section below, what are you guys most excited about? Would you guys be open to a Mass Effect Andromeda 2, or do you really want a Mass Effect 4, or do you rather have Dragon Age 4? Let me know in the comment section below, where do you think they're going with this story? in the comment section below. Let me know, guys. And for more Mass Effect 4 content and videos, stay here with Zero TV. Lots of you on the YouTube channel have expressed real interest in hearing more about Just Cause, guys, in this franchise. And there's just a lot of you that have been reaching out to me, whether that be on social media or here on YouTube, stating that you want me to make more Just Cause videos. And I had already planned on making more videos in this franchise, but now knowing that you guys want that, that is definitely something I plan on doing. And you guys can check out all of my Just Cause videos, guys, here on the YouTube channel, whether we're talking about Just Cause as a franchise, or if we're talking more in particular about Just Cause 5, which is what we're going to be talking about here in this segment of the show, guys. I want to talk about the top 5 things that we want out of Just Cause 5. This is a franchise, guys, that I think actually over time has been building a pretty solid fan base. And I mean, think about it this way. This is a series that has 4 games. A lot of series, guys, out there in the video game world haven't been able to get to that 4th game. A lot of games out there get to 3, and then it's just considered a trilogy, and then the developers move onwards. But with Just Cause, this is a franchise that's just continued to churn out games, and it'll be interesting to see what happens with Just Cause 5. But like I said, guys, when I'm talking about the top 5 things that we want, you know, I'm going to be giving my opinion here. I would love to hear yours in the comment section below, whether you agree or disagree with some of the top 5 things that I want. So let's get into it. So guys, at number 1 for me, Just Cause 5, I would love to see a continuation of the storyline. The main storyline, I want to see a continuation. Part of it, though, I want them to surprise me. I want them to kind of surprise me with some twists, some turns and such in Just Cause 5. You know, obviously we don't want to copy and paste of Just Cause 4 in Just Cause 5, but I would like to see the continued storyline here. I think they're kind of, you know, it's building momentum. They're going somewhere here, and so I think that they need to just continue that, really. I don't think that they should, you know, kind of go into a completely different storyline at this point, or, you know, whatever the case might be. I just think that they need to continue the main storyline. And at the same time, though, I want them to surprise me with just twists, some turns, maybe some mystery to it. Would be really cool at the end of the day. At number 2, guys, I want to see new abilities, new characters, new enemies, and new locations. And that's like a lot in this number 2, guys. But those are all things I think are important. I want to see some new abilities that our character can do. I want to see some new characters that we interact with. I want new characters. I want existing characters, right? I want to see a little bit of some familiarity, but I also want to see some differences. And then the same thing with enemies. It'd be nice to see some, you know, some similar enemies, but I also want to see new enemies at the same time. At the end of the day, guys, when it comes to the video game industry, it always has to evolve. You got to get bigger and better as you go, and it's like that in the movie industry, it's like that in the game industry. And so with Just Cause 5, it's no different. I want to see those new enemies, those enemies kind of evolving over time. The same thing can be said with locations. When we're talking about locations, guys, it's good to have some of the similar locations, so it feels more and more like Just Cause. But also it's good to see new areas, new places that you can explore and, you know, have, you know, go to war with, right, essentially. So that's kind of a very, in my opinion, what's really important as well as having those new locations. That leads me into number 3, guys, which is a full open world game, which I think is really, really important. Having a full open world at the end of the day is going to be a very important thing, in my opinion, where we have more to explore, right? Look, Just Cause has done a pretty good job of making it, you know, pretty accessible, right? Being able to see things overall. But I think it's really important with Just Cause 5, we go to the next level here. We are able to explore. We're able to, you know, really do even more, guys. Have more that we can interact with. Lots of things that you can do within the open world, I think would really make this feel more and more like a really fleshed out experience. And then coming in, guys, at number 5, stay true to Just Cause. And that's the biggest thing I got to say. Look, evolve the series. You know, stay true to Just Cause, but evolve the series over time. And the same thing with, you know, just growing the scene. We got to grow this scene, guys. And I think it's important that, you know, we have those things, in the, within the game, right? Is that you kind of stay true to it, you evolve it over time. And on top of that, guys, something I skipped here was multiplayer and co-op. I think multiplayer and co-op would be absolutely great for Just Cause 5, right? As you're evolving the series, you stay true to Just Cause, but you're also evolving the series into, like, more co-op elements, more multiplayer elements, more ways you can connect with the franchise, so that when you're done with the story, done with that open world setting, right, whether you want to play it with your friends, you can. Whether you want to play multiplayer, whether it's like, just PvP or whatever it might be, guys, you're able to do that as well. It's very important at the end of the day to have those things, because I think that Just Cause is getting to a point where I would love to see a lot of streamers on Twitch streaming the game. I would like to see more and more content creators on YouTube creating content around this game. So Just Cause 5, in my opinion, needs to evolve in a number of ways. We're moving in the right direction, guys. It's certainly a franchise, in my opinion, that's moving in the right direction. There's just little things that need to be implemented in order to make it even better. And I think, guys, that I would be down just for the developers, just to take their time on this next title, do all the things that we kind of want, and then release it to the world when it's ready to go, and we will certainly be there to play it from a campaign perspective, from a multiplayer perspective, and that is one thing that I'm really excited about, to say the least. But these are the top 5 things that I want out of Just Cause 5, guys. What are your top 5 things that you guys want? Let me know in the comment section below, and for more Just Cause 5 content and videos, stay here with Zero TV. You guys know that one of my most anticipated horror titles coming out, guys, is the Outlast Trials. I'm so excited about this. This is one of my most anticipated games now of 2021. And as we go, guys, I want to talk more and more about this title and like all that it really, overall, what it's going to pretty much all include for us, and what are the things that we may not know about right now that we can certainly speculate about. So in this last segment of the show, guys, I want to talk about the Outlast Trials, and will this title be free to play? So let's talk about it. So guys, as we break this down, Outlast and Outlast 2, obviously these titles are different because this isn't a direct continuation of the first 2 games. This is set in a Cold War era, and it's pretty much separate. It's in the same universe as Outlast, but it, of course, it's set in a, different time period, and how it all is going to connect to the main story, if it does, is going to be something quite interesting for us to experience. But what I'm getting at here is that just because, Outlast and Outlast 2 were one thing, or they, were pay to play, essentially, doesn't necessarily mean that the Outlast Trials is going to be. Most likely it will, guys. When we think about it, most likely it's going to be a pay to play game. But I think that there is possibility that this could be a free-to-play title. I would probably say that it most likely won't be, but you can never say never, guys. This is a title that I think a lot of us are really excited about, and I think that Red Barrel, they want to make sure that this game does really well for them. Look, from Outlast 1 to Outlast 2 was a little bit down from the first game, right? And so I think what we can all what we can probably agree upon is that, they needed to kind of change up the formula. And they absolutely did that here with the Outlast Trials. Now, does that mean that they're not going to make it, a pay-to-play game? That doesn't necessarily mean that. What I'm getting at is they're making an aggressive approach to change the formula here a little bit with the Outlast Trials, and which is Outlast in general. So, I would probably say, guys, it's probably not going to be a free-to-play game. However, you can never say never, and I think that, as we look at this, if they add multiplayer elements, which I think that this game looks like it's going to be primed for multiplayer experience, especially because it's going to be mainly a co-op game. Think about, it being like somewhat of a Dead by Daylight, but in the Outlast universe. I think that could be something really special. But having that in a free-to-play format, guys, think of all the AAA titles that are out there that are free-to-play right now that are absolutely like larger-than-life games at this point and have made so much money for the developers. I mean, that would almost guarantee a continuation of this franchise if they made it free-to-play, because I would bet that Outlast Trials would be one of the biggest horror games for at least a period of time, guys, after it would go free to play. Everyone would at least try it out, especially if it was free to play. Now, We don't know. Is this going to be going on to consoles? Is it going to be going on just PC? How is that going to work? Is it going to be a VR as well? These are all question marks. And so I think that, we're not going to know, the entire scope here of the Outlast trials until we get closer, right? And it doesn't come out until 2021, but we can certainly speculate, like I said. Free to play, guys. Do you think that the Outlast Trials is going to be a free to play title? I could give you a bunch of reasons why it should be. I could give you a bunch of reasons why it shouldn't be. But at the end of the day, between the multiplayer elements, what they're going to try and obviously do with co-op, we don't know if they're doing multiplayer, but co-op at least. And then as far as the story is concerned, could they be adding a bunch of customization, options as well as earnable items within the game from a co-op perspective or a multiplayer perspective? That could also really help when they're trying to promote it as a free-to-play model. But like I said, guys, don't expect a free-to-play game here out of the Outlast Trials, but I do think, as far as the developers are concerned, this is something that should be talked about at least, and I'm sure they are talking about it over there, but I just think that you really need to look at this and look at the pros and cons to it, and if they feel that, look, Outlast isn't a big enough title yet for us to make it free to play, then of course, people are going to justify paying the money, the $60 price tag for the game, but at the end of the day, I think that if you're going to pay $60, it better be a full package deal, in my opinion. It needs to be a campaign, obviously a full-fledged out campaign, of course. Having some co-op modes, having multiplayer modes would obviously, make it a full package there. And I think multiplayer, guys, is what's going to bring people back to the game over and over again in the future. And so that's why I think you have to put real emphasis on multiplayer, even though obviously you want the story to be really good as well. But let me know, guys. Would you guys want to see the Outlast Trials free to play, or do you think it needs to be a pay to play in order for it to be a really, really good game? Let me know what you guys think, and I would love to have a real conversation about it. And for more The Outlast Trials content and videos, stay here with Zero TV. And with that being said, everyone, I hope you guys did enjoy this episode of the 8 Below Show. And if you guys did, leave a thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, stay positive, and as always, I'll talk to you guys all in the next one. Peace.